I do not. Okay. I do not, and I never have dipped my Oreos in water. I will show you how I do it, but usually I put an Oreo in my mouth or I take a bite and then I take a sip of water. So my presentation is Oreos are better with water. Big Milk wants you to think that milk is the only choice when it comes to Oreos. It's not. And it's also the inferior choice. You work for 8 hours, you get home, all you want to do is eat some Oreos, and then you have milk, and it ruins the rest of your night because you're diarrheal, your stomach hurts, you're dehydrated. It's just a mess. Most of y'all are lactose intolerant, and in order for me to make this slide, I Google searched diarrhea and it was a mistake. I Google searched diarrhea to like thinking that I would get a picture of somebody running to the bathroom, and there weren't like there weren't that many pictures of poop in the toilet, but there were definitely some, and I didn't want to see it. It was in Google Images. I Google searched diarrhea in Google Images. It did give me this nice picture of this person holding their stomach, but it also gave me pictures of people's poop in the toilet. That was less than solid. So yeah, honestly, I would not recommend Google searching diarrhea. I didn't know this, but the majority of humans are lactose intolerant. Up to 60% of Americans, which seems like a lot. And that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people considering how many people drink milk, you know what I mean? Like, so many people I know have milk like once a day, probably because when we were kids, they were like, hey, if you don't drink milk, your bones will crumble and you'll break your arm when you wake up in the morning and roll over. So
I was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning I break my legs, and every afternoon I break my arms.
it's ridiculous. If you don't know this, and this is also a takeaway that somebody could have from this, because I didn't know that I was lactose intolerant until like I was like 20. This caused me to do dumb things my whole life because I didn't know I was lactose intolerant. Like, I used to play soccer in high school, and very frequently I would eat cereal before my games. There was one game, I specifically remember one game, I ate cereal beforehand and I had to run off the field during the game. I don't want to finish the story now. Keep talking about diarrhea, it's bringing people in. This whole presentation is ridiculous, but this is another thing I think as a nugget of information in this presentation. I did not know that I was lactose intolerant. If you drink something with milk or consume something with milk or lactose, and you're having like stomach pain, nausea, you're bloated, you have gas, you're running to the bathroom, maybe you might be lactose tolerant. And maybe it might behoove you to have less lactose, less cheese in your diet. But if you're lactose intolerant and you want some Oreos, you can just drink water instead and it'll be good. No trips to the bathroom necessary. Milk is also not conclusive to making bones stronger. Again, milk propaganda. They say that milk is the best source of calcium, but there are plenty of foods such as broccoli, seeds, yogurt, leafy greens that are actually better or as efficient as milk for giving you your daily dose of caffeine. And actually, it's potentially the opposite of making bones stronger. There are some studies that I have here. Well, they've noticed that populations that drink the most milk, countries that have the most milk intake, actually also have the most bone fractures. Countries that have the least amount of milk consumption don't have more bone fractures. So it's not saying that it definitely causes more fractures, but it definitely doesn't make your bones stronger considering this data. It's not definitive, obviously, science never is, but it's an interesting thought. I don't think it makes bones stronger. There's no evidence that it would do that. Like, think about how amazing it would be if you could just drink something and it would make you stronger. That makes no sense, you know? But we believe that because we've been told that our whole life. Milk mustaches are not cool. They make your mustache... If you have an actual mustache, like I do, milk makes your mustache smell disgusting for the rest of the day. Every time I have milk, I have to wet a napkin and wipe my mustache off. It doesn't stink, okay? That sounds disgusting. It just smells like milk. Maybe I am being paid by big propaganda. a sociopath would do. I mean, I could be sociopathic. I don't know yet. The jury's still out on that. I don't think I am, but... Okay, so I did some trend analysis here. I went out and did my own research in the field to figure out trends in people who prefer water with Oreos versus people who prefer milk with Oreos. And I found that people who consume milk with Oreos are on average less happier, perform worse in all physical activities, they score lower on standardized tests, they get less kills in online competitive shooters, they are more likely to have lower self-esteem. Below, so attached here, this is a graph of performance in Rocket League 3v3 competitive matches over the course of 1 year between milk and water Oreo fans. And you can see clearly over the course of the entire year, people who like water with Oreos are consistently performing better in Rocket League 3v3 matches. Listen, I did the research, Sherlock. This is like concrete research. I analyzed 2,000 people on each side. What's the value for the y-axis? Don't worry about it. The value is performance. Don't worry, it's science. It's science. Don't worry about it. As somebody who went to college to learn how to make and analyze comprehensible data, this graph hurt to make. Here's one of my main points. One of my main points as to why you should have Oreos and milk. Oreos and water. I keep saying Oreos and milk because it's so ingrained in my head from the cookie and milk propaganda. None of y'all drink enough water. Roughly, this was very surprising to me, that roughly 22% of American adults drink enough water. So 78% of you do not get enough water in your day. The surface of an Oreo is scientifically proven to be 80% drier than the Sahara Desert, and I do think that if you eat Oreos dry, you're actually fricked. You're doing this, if you eat Oreos dry instead of using milk or water, you're basically doing the equivalent of the cinnamon challenge or the saltine challenge, but like for pleasure, because you like to eat I don't know what's wrong with you. Don't do that.
I don't need it.
If you're dry eating Oreos, your mouth is probably so dry that I could light a match off of your teeth. Y'all need to hydrate. That is terrible. Oreos with milk has a lot bigger of an effect than you think. Here are some things you probably didn't realize are happening at their yearly average. So first of all, 45K cups a year are ruined from the Oreos. When you guys dip your Oreos in the milk and it breaks in half because you left it in the milk too long and it falls on the bottom, ruins the cup. The cups are ruined, the Oreo dries up like cement and you have to throw the cup away. When you try to wash it, the glass breaks. 690,000 toilets a year are destroyed by the diarrheal impact of Oreos and milk. The back of the bowl is just not strong enough to handle the force of Oreo and milk poop. These are not toilets that I've destroyed personally. I'm only in the double digits. I am not yet in six figures for toilets destroyed. Hopefully, by the end of my life, I have destroyed six-figure toilets, but right now I'm only in the double digits. We're working on it. So you guys are ruining cups, shattering toilets, and you're overworking the cows. We could have 100,000 less cows producing milk if you guys would drink water with your Oreos instead of milk. I went out, I did the research. It's 100,000 cows exactly. It worked out perfectly for me to fit in this slide, which is really nice. There's a lot more wrong with dipping than there is right. First of all, you get milk all over your hands. Anytime I'm eating Oreos with milk, you have a conundrum, right? You're dipping the Oreos in the milk. Either you get milk all over your hands by getting the entire cookie coated in milk, or you have to have some of your cookie with no milk. The unwinnable solution. You have to choose between getting your hands all milky, like this picture, this poor fella. This poor guy was getting so tired of dipping Oreos and not getting milk all over the cookie that he just said frick it and he just dumped milk into his hands with the cookie in there. Yeah, it's disgusting, but it works. It's efficient. There's an Oreo in his hands, and it has milk all over it. The cookie makes an absolute mess in the glass. Not only can this destroy the glass, but also you're wasting precious cookie, because you're not gonna get down in there and dip it with a spoon and eat the rest of it. You're not gonna do that. You're not committed enough. You milk Oreo consumers, you don't love the cookie enough to do that. The water ones, we don't have to. We don't have to worry about that. Also, my life was a mess when I ate Oreos with milk. I don't remember that. I don't remember typing that, and I don't know why that's here, but yeah, sure. Dipping is suboptimal. Side note, my life was a mess when I ate Oreos with milk. And now I eat Oreos with water and my life is good. So what does that tell you? The Oreo, when you're dipping the Oreo, it's never the right consistency. It's either way too soggy and you get the aforementioned cookie breaking and ruining the glass, that it all sits down there and just gets worse, or it's too hard. And let me tell you, there's no worse feeling than when you dip an Oreo into a cup and you take it out too soon and you bite into it and it's just like a wet, hard Oreo. Like you're softening it up. Why is it so hard? It's terrible. And last but certainly not least, dipping your Oreo into a glass of milk is pay to win. You have to pay extra money for one of these tools here in order to efficiently and effectively dip and coat the Oreo in milk. And we hate that. So no, we hate it. No pay to win. Frick pay to win. Frick dipping. Frick Oreos in milk. Water is the wave. Take it from Oreo themselves. So I went to Oreo's Twitter and I pulled a tweet from this year, and this is what it says. This is an official tweet from Oreo Cookie. Jobs we'd be good at. Water connoisseur. CEO of cookies. And Olympic dunker. Now some of you might say, Z, I think this might be photoshopped. First of all, no it's not. Second of all, show me where it would be photoshopped. This is an official tweet from the Oreo Twitter themselves. Don't be mad because I found a tweet with Oreo themselves, the cookie brand, defending me. Eating Oreos with milk is simply unnatural. This is important. No other animal on Earth eats milk with Oreos. I mean, look at this scenario. Think about any other animal, what they would have to do, how hard it would have to be for them to eat Oreos and milk at the same time. Do you really think this baby horse, do you really think this calf is like, hey mom, can you stand here so I can eat an Oreo and then get some milk and then eat an Oreo? This is a ridiculous scenario. I had to Photoshop this. I will admit, this is Photoshopped. Okay, it's a foal. I'm sorry, I should have stuck with baby horse. This is a more accurate depiction of what an animal in the wild looks like eating Oreos. Clearly, this horse is by the water in its natural habitat. It's got the Oreos on the shoreline and it can just go back and forth. Grab an Oreo, get some water. If a shark or a blowfish or a clownfish or an octopus were to eat Oreos, they would have to eat them with water. It would be physically impossible for an octopus or a shark, as Idiot Brigade said, to eat an Oreo with milk. Don't you want to be more like an octopus or a shark? We always hear about how sharks are the boss of the sea, right? Be more like a shark. Eat your Oreos with water. So I think you can change your life today. You don't have to do something just because everyone else does it. You can see here, these people are wearing raincoats and aprons because they're about to eat Oreos with milk. But they're done with that life. They've shed this lifestyle and they still have remnants of the lifestyle. I mean, these two people are wearing raincoats and the guy's wearing an apron because it's a messy job. You dip the Oreo in, like I said earlier, you get milk all over your hands. You don't need to wear that stuff anymore just to consume things. Look how great their hair looks. This is just mere minutes after switching to water and Oreos. They've got fantastic hair. They all look like models just because they switched. Why did I sit through this? I don't know. Okay, you have your Oreos on hand? I will show you how to correctly eat Oreos. Hello.
Hi! You can't fit the Oreo in the drinking bowl. You know what I mean?
No, you don't dip it in there.
Well, that's what I thought.
Dude, I've had to defend myself so many times when everyone thinks that I dip the Oreo in water. I've never done that. What you do is you bite a piece off of this,
Okay.
and you put water in your mouth, and then you just let it like sit in there until it gets soft enough, and then you eat it.
I don't know if I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
It's good.
I'm moving out.
Isn't it good?
No!
Tell me it's not good.
No! That's weird!
What do you mean it's weird? It's not terrible, is it?
It's not terrible. Look, I'll say this. If you were gonna dip it in, that'd be gross.
Yeah, it would be disgusting.
It just kind of tastes like you have chocolate and you need to refresh your mouth, so you put water in.
Yeah, but is your mouth dry?
Actually, no.
You're hydrated.
I am
You
hydrated.
don't have dry Oreo mouth.
You're right.
And when you have the water in your mouth,
Yeah.
it spreads the taste around.
I don't like holding the water in my mouth, but I like the way the Oreo tastes after the water's been in my mouth.
That's what I'm saying. If you eat the Oreo and you put water in your mouth, whenever you're chewing it, the flavor goes everywhere.
Yeah,
It tastes really good. See?
I will agree with that.
See? I'm not crazy. I was gonna eat an Oreo with milk and then immediately get up and go to the bathroom and say I had to poop, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to eat an Oreo with milk.
Well, we have lactose-free milk.
I just don't want to eat it. I had cereal.
What a liar. You would not poop. It's lactose-free.
It was a joke. So what do you think?
But this, it's like I thought it was gonna be really, really gross because I thought it was gonna be like a soggy Oreo, but it actually was not bad.
This.
Also, Cosmic, to answer your question, no, because I actually like disconstruction.
Yeah, she's gonna eat Oreos like this. She told me.
They're good. Glitches in fire. I'm surprised, but I was the guinea pig, and it's not
Listen,
bad.
she's never had this before.
I promise.
And I only paid her $3,000 to agree with me.
Right.
So, who's the real winner? Nobody.